My name is Morgan Cheney. I am 20 years old and currently attending Southern Utah University in Cedar City, Utah. This documentary is centered on the high school I graduated from in 2017, Canyon View High School, and the learning experience I had there. However, I believe the best way to begin to relive old memories is with your friends, and so I recorded a few of them to help me out. Let's start at the beginning. Canyon View High School is a public suburban high school in Cedar City, Utah. Canyon View was established in 1997, branched off from the first high school in Cedar City, Cedar High School. In 1999, the district announced that due to unexpected growth, another building would be built right across the street to help accommodate the growing student population. In 2013, I entered those halls as a freshman, but I think I'll let my friends tell you the rest.
My name is Amber Francisco. I am 19 years old.
My name is Isaiah Shear. I am a sad 20 years old. I currently am in the Army as my occupation.
My name is Ivy Shear. I am 20 years old and I attended Canyon View High School.
I attended Canyon View High School. Graduated in 2017.
The high school I attended was Canyon View High School.
Canyon View was cool. It was gossipy, but it was cool.
The environment at Canyon View High School was kind of small town, kind of not. There's some punky kids, hip kids. It kind of was a mix of everything.
Was small, was gossipy, cliquey. Felt like there were a lot of cliques, but I felt safe. Good classes, lots of good people, friendly.
I felt very safe. I didn't have any issues. I never felt like I was in danger or anything like that.
Environment of the town, close. Everyone knew what was going on, usually.
I would say the town is the same. Very small, very gossipy. You couldn't really go anywhere without anyone knowing that was you, like, hey, I saw you drive here, or hey, I saw you there.
The curriculum ranged from general education to special education to AP and honors classes. Although Cedar City might be small, it still is a college town, and many of the classes I took were college courses from Southern Utah University.
I did take some AP classes, so those were really good. I feel like there was a stereotype depending on what each person took. So if someone were to take all AP classes, they were like, oh, they're smart. Or like, if you were in an honors class, it was always your goody two-shoes, I guess.
Many of the demographic compositions weren't contained in little old Canyon View, but spread widely throughout the town, especially with the epic rivalry between Cedar and Canyon View.
Did Canyon View have a rivalry? I do agree with that. So it made it a cool school, to be honest.
Canyon View definitely did have a rivalry against Cedar. Only two high schools.
The rivalry at Canyon View High School is a little crazy. It's just with our other side of Cedar City. But I think it's an awesome thing. I think it definitely increases sports and stuff like that.
So I did feel like it did get out of hand a little bit sometimes when it came to name calling, social media, even vandalization of schools, other kids' property and stuff like that.
Did it ever get out of hand? Nope. It's high school. It's never in hand.
The rivalry definitely got out of hand sometimes, but it was fun. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Different every single year. Our year, it was alright. It was pretty lame. The year before that, it was competition for sure.
Some of the stereotypes compared to Cedar High School and Canyon View High School was Cedar was the home of Cedar City, obviously.
Cedar kids had like a stereotype of being wealthy or better at things, and Canyon View was always the losers, I felt like, when it came to sports.
Cedar had more rich kids, that's all I remember.
The racial composition was mostly Caucasian, but a few Native Americans, Polynesians, and Hispanics also were part of the racial demographics at Kennedy High School.
My race is Caucasian/white.
Pacific Islander is my race.
The racial composition at my school definitely was more white people, but there was a few other races.
It was definitely mostly Caucasian.
Mostly Caucasian.
I was not affected by any of those racial comments just because I was part of the majority.
No one really cared. No one, it was all cool.
There was never anything that I saw that stood out as being specifically racist, as confrontational to those people. Ideology definitely affected our school, mainly just we are a Utah-based school, so I don't even live in Utah anymore, and the first thing I get asked when I tell them that I'm from Utah is, are you Mormon?
I am of the LDS faith.
My religion is non-denominational.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I couldn't be myself as much because everyone was the same. Everyone was LDS.
I did eventually get into the church later in high school, and you do notice a difference as far as common grounds religion-wise, but I was never actually treated differently. But there is that feeling of pressure.
Made me feel weird when I messed up.
It doesn't matter if they actually were being pressured or if they weren't, but I feel like they always felt like they were just because they weren't. It's almost like they expected it of everyone.
I am LDS, and I do enjoy a great many things from this town, as I am seen as a Miss Perfect or just a good person. I don't have to feel pressure to do anything because I'm already what they expected me to be.
I was not affected by the religious composition because I was raised as a Mormon, and I fit in.
It did kind of give you that feeling of like you didn't really click with everybody, you didn't really belong, you kind of got uncomfortable.
The social status composition of the town it's mostly middle class. My dad is a sergeant at the county jail, while my mom was a stay-at-home mom. We have a pretty nice house. We have a large family, but my dad's able to provide for us.
My dad works at AMPAC. My mom works at Iron County School District. Our house it's a nice house. I definitely am blessed.
Parents went to college, both have jobs, both own a house.
Canyon View is a combination of both Newcastle, Cedar City, and Enid residents. I lived in Enid, Utah. It's a little bit smaller and a little ways out of Canyon View.
While I was attending Canyon View High School, I lived in Enid, Utah. Enid, Utah is about 15-20 minutes away from Canyon View High.
My parents' current living condition, they're divorced, they both have jobs, both have houses.
The difference between Cedar City and Enoch is Cedar City has a lot more grocery stores, stuff like that. In Enoch, Utah, there's Family Dollar and a pizza place. So.
And during high school, they were together, but in the process of splitting.
My parents are together and still are.
The gender composition at my school, I felt like were more females. It seemed like when dances came around, like Sadie's or prom, there definitely were more girls not going to the dances. I felt like just because there weren't as many boys.
Was not complicated as I remember.
I really feel like you were not picked on by any teachers or any adults at all, but as far as other students, if you were anything but male or female, I feel like there were rumors, a little bit of hostility.
I never noticed much about the gender composition until I wrote the status quo and joined the football team to get stronger for basketball. It was the first time I felt like my gender might be at a disadvantage. Overall, I felt accepted, mostly by my male teammates, but my female peers weren't always the most supportive, especially behind my back. And it's a little disconcerting to see that and experience that. But overall, it was a good experience, and I feel like if I prove to myself and I prove to others that gender doesn't have to always dictate what you can and what you cannot do.
Hobbies I was into was definitely sports. I played volleyball my freshman and sophomore year, but quit because it was during an archery hunt. And I played basketball and softball my whole high school career.
Football, track, studied sometimes.
I played several sports: basketball, soccer, track, football. I was in the Presidency of Honor Society. I was one of the head editors in the yearbook. I was involved with leadership representation for Canyon View athletes. I had lots of friends, and most everyone knew me. I felt comfortable talking to just about anyone, people that maybe I wouldn't have if I didn't put myself out there. It was real. I loved high school. It was a lot of fun for me.
I was involved I did Honor Society for a little bit. I was in yearbook. I did volleyball, a little bit of track, and mainly volleyball.
So archery is definitely one of my big hobbies.
I really felt like being involved in things made you feel like you had a place, even if it was just a class or a club. Being able to bond with those people over something was really nice.
Did you feel welcome in extracurricular activities? I did. Besides freaking like homecoming and all that stuff.
I always felt welcome in extra activities.
I felt like I was accepted at my school. I kind of was a jock, so I fit in.
Even things like sharing a class with someone, I felt like really made you feel like you belonged if you could click with those people over something like a common sport or a common language interest or something like that.
What helped me gain capital was I was a jock. I also hunted, fished. Growing up in a small town, there were a lot of people that did all of those things, so I fit in.
Church, I guess, because it's really LDS town.
Concerning capital, I had several advantages because of my race and religion. I was seen as someone who would succeed and be good. My dad's occupation as a police officer improved my social status, social standing. Overall, the ideologies of the school and the town saw me as someone worth helping and someone who would succeed later in life.
I feel like some of the capital points for other people did play as an advantage. People with more money were definitely sought out. There were definitely cliques between all the people that had more money. I don't know if it just was like the clothes they wore, the cars they drove, or just the way they acted, but you were able to pick people apart. Like you kind of knew before having to ask them who had money and who didn't have money.
Overall, the biggest takeaway from the class was to remove, that I took away from this class was to remove all biases and personal beliefs out of the classroom and treat humans as human beings. We are those children's advocate, and it's our responsibility to see them and act towards them as if they were people who succeed, just like I was seen as in high school. But I think that a lot of people were not seen as that, and so they weren't as helped as much, and I think it's our responsibility that we help them despite any biases or anything that we might think that won't help them. The ideology that I'll definitely want in my classroom is the belief that all students have potential for success, and it's my responsibility to help them in any way that I can and resist that bias and perceptions that are contrary to that. I'll definitely implement the equity pedagogy. I think it's so important for children, for an atmosphere where children have an active role in their education, and communication is welcoming and warm and open. I think that if I implement those ideologies and pedagogy strategies in my classroom, those privileges will be already muted, as well as create an atmosphere in which children feel welcome and loved.
Imagine a jerk and a jock to some. I'm more quiet now. but I am still in a leadership role on my team that I have. A jock. It wasn't that big of a school, so you saw everybody in at least one class almost. Work out a lot more and mind my own business.
Like, I'm married real close out of high school,